All right, let's jump right in. Today we are tackling something huge, the incredible, world-changing power of artificial intelligence and the massive challenge of how to regulate the tech giants who are building our future. You see, AI isn't just another gadget, it's a full-blown revolution, and it's forcing all of us to ask some really tough questions.
So, to really kick things off, I want you to look at a single number, $3.4 trillion. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around a number that big, right? So what does it actually represent?
Well, that number is the annual GDP of the entire United Kingdom. But get this, it is also the market capitalization of Microsoft, just one company. That gives you a sense of the insane scale we're dealing with. And Apple is right there with them, rivaling the whole economy of France.
And that really sets up the central question for this whole explainer. I mean, when corporations become more powerful than actual countries, who's supposed to be the referee? Who's in charge? This is the new world we're all trying to figure out.
Now, to understand this conflict, we first have to appreciate that AI itself has two very different faces. Just like every other major tech revolution in history, it comes with incredible promise, but also some serious peril.
And let's be super clear here. We are not just talking about another cool app for your phone. Experts actually classify AI as a general-purpose technology. That puts it in the same league as the steam engine and electricity. It's a fundamental force that has the power to change, well, pretty much everything.
But this revolution is different. Unlike past technological shifts that mostly replaced manual labor, AI is coming for knowledge workers. Take a look at an advanced economy like South Korea. Recent studies show that over 13% of all jobs, that's 3.27 million people, are at high risk of being replaced by AI.
And here's what's really striking when you dig into that data. Nearly 60% of those vulnerable jobs are professional roles. We're talking about engineers, IT specialists, analysts. These aren't factory jobs. These are the highly skilled careers that have defined the modern economy.
So, what's the upshot of all this? This massive economic shift is concentrating an almost unimaginable amount of power into the hands of just a few corporate nations. These companies are now so big, they act on a global stage, often completely beyond the reach of any single country's laws.
Remember those numbers we started with? It's worth seeing them again. These companies have the same economic weight as major world powers. But here's the key difference. They operate without borders, without citizens, and without the traditional responsibilities that we expect from a nation-state.
You know, their dominance is so total that it's actually breaking the old rules of economics. You've heard of Adam Smith's invisible hand, right? The idea that free competition keeps markets fair? Well, that's collapsing. Through data monopolies and impossibly high barriers to entry, they've created winner-take-all markets where real competition can barely survive.
And here's where it gets really, really tricky for governments everywhere. The massive profits that AI generates, it's basically stateless capital. With the click of a button, billions can be moved to a low-tax country. So how can a nation tax the most valuable economic activity within its own borders when that value can just disappear?
So into this regulatory Wild West, one global power has decided to step up, put on a referee jersey, and try to write the rulebook for the whole world, the European Union.
And the EU is coming in with a powerful one-two punch. First, you have the Digital Markets Act, or DMA, which is basically designed to stop giants like Google from unfairly promoting their own services. Then you've got the Digital Services Act, the DSA, which forces platforms to take more responsibility for things like illegal content. It basically labels these huge companies as gatekeepers and hands them a strict new set of rules.
And these rules, they have some serious teeth. If a company breaks the DMA, they're not just getting a slap on the wrist. They could face a fine of up to 10% of their total worldwide revenue. For a company like Google or Apple, that's a fine that could easily be tens of billions of dollars.
So what's happened is this has set up a global standoff. You have China, where the state holds the sword and controls AI as a tool of national power. You have the US, where the giant corporations hold the sword and the government often protects them. And you have the EU, trying to be the referee. As for most other countries, they're kind of stuck in the middle of this high-stakes power game.
This massive global conflict really forces us to ask a fundamental question. As all the old rules of society start to break down, what does a new, fair social contract even look like in the age of AI?
Now, what's really fascinating here is who's proposing some of the most radical solutions. It's not just activists or professors. It's the very people building the technology. Guys like OpenAI's Sam Altman, Elon Musk, even the godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton. They've all basically warned that we might need something like a universal basic income just to keep society from falling apart.
Okay, so how do you possibly pay for something like that? Well, an idea that's gaining a lot of steam, championed by people like Bill Gates, is a robot tax. The logic is pretty simple. If a company replaces a human worker who pays income taxes with a robot or an AI that doesn't, then maybe the company should pay a tax on those automation profits to help fund the transition for everyone else.
But this isn't just about money. There's a huge consensus that we have to fundamentally rethink our approach to education and skills. We need to double down on the things that make us uniquely human, the stuff AI is still really bad at, creativity, empathy, social intelligence, teamwork. At the same time, we also have to build the skills to partner with AI, not just fight against it.
But look, a robot tax in one country is pretty useless if a company can just move its servers to another country with no tax, right? It just creates a global race to the bottom. A single nation is basically powerless against stateless capital. The only real solution, the ultimate challenge, is to build a global referee through international agreements on things like taxation and regulation.
And that brings us to the single most important takeaway here. The future of the AI era is not set in stone. It's not predetermined by the technology. It's going to be determined by us, by the choices we make and the policies we decide to put in place.
We are truly at a historic crossroads. Are we going to let all this incredible new wealth be concentrated in the hands of a few tech giants, creating a level of inequality we've never seen before? Or are we going to design new systems, demand a new social contract, and make sure that this prosperity is shared by everyone? The answer isn't in the code. It's in our choices, our voices, and the future that we decide to build together.